now we're actually going to solve problems using the cosine law. So this problem was familiar, I believe, from an earlier slide. Remember, we had labeled this using this as angle D, E, and F, which means this is E, little f, and little d, and we want to find little d. So using the cosine law, d squared equals e squared plus f squared minus 2ef times the cosine of capital D. So we're going to input the information. We have 370 squared plus 350 squared minus 2 times 370 times 350 times the cosine of 2.1 degrees. Now you may be able to use your calculator all in one line if you've got one that has got a bit of scientific notation with it, and when you do that you should get 574. Now let's double check. Does 574 make sense? That seems awfully large for this small distance if this is 350. So we're missing the final step, which is to take the square root of both sides. So take the square root of one side and the other, and we get D equals 23.958, which if we round to the nearest meter would be 24 kilometers. So the distance between these two buildings is 24 kilometers. So I have to make a diagram for this triangle before I start to solve it. I am told that AC is 18, so I'm going to make that my horizontal line here and say I'll write that between A and C is 18 centimeters. Then I am told that angle A and AB is 12 centimeters. I'm going to draw the angle in first. So A is 130 degrees. So here's my angle A right there. And I know that 90 looks like this. So 130 is going to be past 90, something like this possibly right there. And that length has got to be 12. So if we take a look at 18 is this length, 12 is about 2/3 of that. So if I draw, that's about this length. So 1, 2, 3, 4 squares. So if I imagine it being a circle, that looks approximately like it could be 12 units. And that is B. Now my triangle goes from, the third side is from B to C. And I know this is 130 degrees. So now I'm going to label my sides. This is little b then. This is little a, the one I don't know, and little c is over here. And I have to use the cosine law because I don't have any pairs of angles and sides. And I'm looking for BC, which is A. So I'm going to use my cosine law. A squared equals B squared plus C squared minus 2BC cosine A. And I don't have to do any rearranging because A is the one I want and it's already on the right side, on the correct side. Now I'm going to plug in my numbers. Little b is 18 squared. C squared is 12 squared minus 2 times 18 times 12 times the cosine of 130 degrees. Now I'm going to go a little bit slower this time because I want to show you something. Last question we just put it all in the calculator at once, but there is something that might puzzle you if you're not careful. 18 squared is 324. 12 squared is 144 minus, and if I'm going to wait with this multiplication here, and I'm going to calculate the cosine of 130. And the cosine of 130 is negative 0.6428. And that's negative here. Negative here is the one that might confuse you. And you need to be careful if you're doing it all step by step. So that negative and this negative multiply to give you a positive. So we have a squared equals 324 plus 144 plus 2 times 18 times 12 times 0.6428, which leaves, if you add them all together, we get leaves a squared equals 745.68. And remember, we've got to take the square root of both sides to get a equals 27, rounding to the nearest centimeter. And if you take a look, does that make sense? Yes, 27. This should be the longest side based on my diagram, and it definitely is longer than 18 centimeters.